public scoping, public hearings are. And clearly we'll do all the public hearings in the secret process. But with the solar project in particular, there's really a pretty limited number of issues at the end of the day that are going to really need to be addressed. I got to consider solar panels help with kids at school. They don't put a strain on the infrastructure for the rest of that. So a lot of stuff you would normally look at as a development project, just not as applicable here. They will be addressed in this document, but a lot of some of these things will be just very short. I mean, how many kids are going to school? So the issues, and what we've been trying to work through what I identified when the solar company came to us, and I'm not leaving, just so you know, this is extremely draft right now. We are still working on moving stuff around, et cetera, but I want to give you a sense of what some of the pieces may look like. When this sort of what I would call critical issues that we're going to need some thinking about and need to have some strategy for it.
This is the railroad.
This is the rail. This is
Where is 57?
This farm to market.
57.
Which one's that?
56, called farm to market.
Yeah, it's right here.
57, okay.
Oh, is it 56? No, 56. The other one is, Flint Mine Road is out here. In fact, there's a house, there's a modular on this lot, and like this lot, or this these two, I can't remember which one, in there. This is what's, the old barns that blew down, that are laid there, we've been like,
They're
shell, shaker head.
This is the S-turn here, where the farm used to be?
No.
You mean the rat farm?
You're on the wrong farm.
Yeah, the
Rat was up here.
Real farm is over here.
They used to hunt pheasants. No. Rat farm is up, right? That's north.
No, rat, no, this is,
Yeah.
there might be another rat, but.
There's a house, a little house in here.
Right, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll take it, John.
So confused.
You know where Mitchell's old farm is?
A road up behind the paper?
No.
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 You know where Schaefer's was?
That's
the farm.
Yeah, Mitchell and Schaefer
Where
were.
Schaefer's barn was is right here.
Here's the road that goes back.
Okay, that's the barn that
Blew that.
fallen down,
Yeah.
fell down.
Yeah.
And the house was,
Yeah,
and then the other Mitchell was back in here.
Well, no, he had a house up here.
Yeah, that's been sorted now.
Okay.
And then if you get Lenny Gold's side,
Gold
back,
back,
you know,
okay,
back,
now,
right,
now,
you know, right where you're at here.
This is a big hill.
Right.
Okay, so the S-turn is up there.
That's there, that's there. You won't see hardly any of that.
It's kind of hard to sit near that, but I think this thing turned right today, but there's Rat's farm right there, when you come around to the S-turn, it's a barn on the side of the corner.
Right.
And like you said, that's Gold's house was in the back over here, Lenny's place in there, so that started this, and the four of them really were, stormwater was one of them. Obviously, what was the state's interpretation of solar panels gonna be as far as an impervious surface? The bottom comes down to is that being the fact that they'll be probably about 3 feet, anywhere from 2 to 3 feet from the low tip to 6 feet up in the air at the top tip, and they'll be over these sodded fields. The state has, believe it or not, has actually been in sync with what's been going on in the rest of the country, which is determined that that's not an impervious surface, because it does re-drain onto the grass again, it doesn't concentrate the flow, run it directly to a creek. The management scheme for that, though, will not be mowed golf course type lawns. The solar field, with the exception of maybe some where they drive around, will probably only get mowed 2 to 3 times a season, 8 inches or so, cut down to 6, allowed to grow back up again. And that also helps, for the water to lay on the site. So that was key, and we got that determination. The only thing that'll be really a new an impervious surface from a stormwater perspective is this little box is the old barn. You see this little tiny hatch box right here?
Yep.
That's going to be we're going to tear and clean up all the rest of that. The only thing that's going to go back is a 26 by 30 building. That's all they need. One stall, full pickup truck in, little office, a bathroom, maybe a small break room, because there's not a lot of employees associated with this. Little parking area. The well is up in here, and again, when we get down, we'll be coming in for a full-blown site plan, and we'll have the typical details out there while we're for you.
How many acres does this represent?
This represents altogether, counting this piece in here, right around 118. The solar field itself, this piece in here, plus or minus right around 100 acres that's in here.
How many panels are going to be?
Depending on where we finally end up with the megawattage, and we were shooting initially when we started to put this project together for between 15 and 20 megawatts. Now the company the developer actually wants to shrink it in size a little bit to like 10 megawatts. Now, we weren't initially gonna use a fixed panel, they would just be, so they fixed, they don't move at all. Now they're proposing to use a single axis, which means they'll just rotate one direction and do this. With the fixed panel, the ratio is about 5 acres of panels to 1 megawatt of power. With the rotating panels, that ratio goes up to about 8 acres of panels per megawatt. I, for the life of me, don't quite understand the pro forma, but they're very adamant that, yeah, the numbers work out much better. And I gotta definitely note that the solar technology is almost changing faster than you can hear all the stuff, right now. And, it's just, you're getting nuts. What's shown on here right now is about 13 megawatts of panels. So we'll probably end up shrinking some of these in a little bit in some of these areas.
But you're talking thousands.
Oh, yeah,
thousands and
thousands and thousands and thousands of panels. So, and I don't, these numbers, I don't know why, this is just a really quick cartoon ahead of, these numbers make no sense to me. There'll be like one inverter pad for every megawatt. That's the inverter pads there, they're like 10 by 20, like a little.
So they have junction box essentially?
Yeah, they'll just have like an outside weather-tight, looks like a refrigerator really, they're just those small, 6-foot high, little open access doors on them, vented. And there's another smaller one, transformer. Now these inverter pads here this will be like a 20 by 100 pad here, so. And that'll have where your interconnect will be into the main power line here for the power to be brought off the site. And each of the little inverter pads is only like 10 by 20, and it's all, when we get into Seeker, you'll start to see some of it in Seeker, and then you'll have all the detail in the, when we come in for a formal site plan.
Was this 2 or 3 years away also?
No, we're looking to, we're definitely looking for a ground this spring. We have moved our schedule back. We had hoped to break ground this fall, but the company that we've been dealing with, Cornerstone Power, was recently acquired by another company to their benefit. They're now acquired by another company that's in the energy business, who brings a lot more fund base to the table and brings a lot of other resources to the table too. So this is actually going to help the project from that aspect. Regrettably, it kind of pushed the project out a couple months, but the schedule.
Who purchased them, do you recall?
It's OCI, and don't ask me what it stands for. I can't remember, Frank, I could look it up for you. So, but this company, the other company, their primary business is that they make the silicone material that's used in solar panel production to actually make the panel. So they're trying to diversify now, their company too. So it makes a nice little fit. It's not like they got some guys who know nothing about solar, and quite frankly, to be honest with you, the schedule that we had laid out to try to construct starting this fall and through the winter was literally something that the first or second meeting we had with them, I scratched out on an envelope in the middle of a meeting and said, all right, here's where I think we would be looking at. So I don't think, 2 months off or 3 months off from then to now, when all the specifics has come in, is actually pretty good as far as the scale of this game. The other issue, so I said stormwater was good. The second issue we knew we would have right off the bat is archaeology, obviously. Frontline Hill is right here. Where we are in that is that the areas that you see, these purple hatch marks, are hot spots for archaeology. And some are hotter than others.
What does that mean as far as development? You can't touch them?
No, it means you have to go through a pretty diligent process to try to avoid them, and if you can avoid them, which often you can't, then you have to sit down and have a painful negotiation with them on a hope for resource recovery. You do a data recovery plan. A typical data recovery plan would be, I can tell you, for like Faulkner Commerce Park, $300,000 and 16 boxes of little chips of rocks and little labels on them that sit in the basement over the Bronx House right now. It'll sit there forever and ever, $300,000 worth of that. Oh, and we produced a little booklet about the Indians of the town. That was our mitigation for that. In this particular site, over in here, a couple things did. We could have made the whole project fit on this one parcel. We're gonna buy from Black, but we decided to buy this part over here, one, because we wanted to clean this old barn and stuff up. And we were like, that's the place to put the storage, the maintenance facility. We'll get that barn cleaned up. So we're gonna end up using like a half. So this turned out to be a very hot spot right here. So you notice we've got completely nothing on that. This one in here in particular is a little hotter than most. I would put this in like a medium to high medium category. And then the rest of them are, this one here is a medium-high category too, and these other small ones are all sort of medium to low. So what we did is, we did something very unique here, in fact. I'm very, very pleased. I've been doing this permitting work for over 25 years. I cannot tell you how many times I had been waiting, sweating bullets when I was at Storm and Water trying to do street restoration or the IDA building things, sweating bullets waiting for what's called the Section 106 review. That's the National Historic Preservation Act, Section 106. And part of that process is consultation with the tribes. So you submit your application. This is the way the process works. You submit all your stuff to the federal government and the Army Corps, and the federal government goes talks to the Indians talk to the federal government, and the Indians talk to, they go back and forth, and they come back and talk to you. So knowing that this was going to be a bit of a sensitive site with the Flint mine being up here, the question I asked was, who are these Indians and who speaks for them? Look, the Indians out there, someone's reading them applications and writing letters. So it turns out that the tribes that have the most interest in this here is the Stockbridge Munsee, which now have a reservation in Wisconsin, in Bowling, Wisconsin, which is about an hour and a half northwest of Green Bay, out in the boonies.
But Renee, that site, the Flint mine site is owned by a Long Island, Historical Preservation Society.
Correct.
Right? Now, what if you found burial sites on these hot spots?
Well, we haven't, that's the good news.
But if you have.
If we had, we'd have to go either avoid them, or we'd have to go through that same exact process again. I mean, I would tell you, if you come into burial sites, again, if it's like a one independent burial site, it's not a big deal, maybe two. But if you come into like, this was, Indian Cemetery Central, then you can pretty much, just walk away, you'll never get your permit. What we really found was that these were seasonal campsites more than anything. There's really no evidence of any permanent campsites, and it makes sense. Think about it. The Indians go up on a hill, they get these big ass clumps of flint. They probably got about halfway through this field, and they're like, hell with this, light a fire, let's break it down to smaller pieces, and we get in our pockets. And that's really what happened. You see a lot of activity where they'd stay 1 or 2 days, have a campfire, break down flint into smaller, manageable pieces, the nicer stuff, and then they would pack that out and then move on. The next group would wander in and do that. So one thing that we did here is, and this is, I gotta tell you, I've never done this in all my career, and we pushed SHPO on this. At first they told us, no, you cannot talk to Indians directly. And we just pointed out that maybe the federal government hasn't always negotiated well on behalf of the Native Americans in this country. They might do, okay. So we actually had to try to come to the site before we even had any kind of stuff here. And because we said, look, this is the situation, and we need to work out something reasonable, because the project's pro forma won't cover another $300,000 recovery. And quite frankly, we don't think that this is helping anybody, that there's a bunch of boxes and a bunch of rocks and some old dusty reports that nobody ever reads. So we have some ideas about an alternative mitigation that we'd like to do. We've looked at the site. We've done the archaeology. There's no indication of any permanent encampments, any burial grounds. Yes, you could really break our behind and make us go in and sample where every hole is going to be. But our argument to them was that this thing has had a far bigger impact on the archaeology resource over the last 100 years as a farm than we've had. And basically, you only got to go about 18 inches on this site, and you're down to the original glacial material. There's not a lot of topsoil that's been built up. I'm not sure this surprise you. They don't build fast in these bottoms like this. So these plows have been going down through the entire topsoil layer for years. Now, I don't know if it's no names, but everybody knows around, especially this field, being right here, the minute this thing was ever turned over, whether it was Schaefer, Michelle, Flat, it's artifact hunted fast. So one of our arguments was, one, it's already been so disturbed and mixed up. Second, and I can tell you, 2 or 3 of the artifact guys have hunted this field for the last 30 years and told me, Renee, there's hardly anything left, we got it all. Now you really got to look hard. In fact, the other point they made to me was that with the newer equipment, the tractors being bigger and faster, they break a lot of it up. Now you're very seldom find a good point that's not broken, because the machine, it's not like the old plows where. So that was one of our first arguments to them. The second argument was that we're not going to excavate. We are literally, this thing will be, literally, when you see the grass that we put down, then with limited exception maybe to do some grading for a few of these, and then to do some limited trenching, narrow trenching, you get conduits, and don't get any more ground disturbance out here. So once this is built, there will be no more. And what we did is we pitched to them, a scenario